Good morning, boys and girls, and happy Tuesday, June 2nd. Today is another review day in math. And our target skill is, today I can review concepts of understanding fractions and dividing items into sections. So yes, we are going to review fractions. A fraction names part of a whole. So if you have a triangle, and half of it is shaded, yep, 1 out of 2, and that gives us the fraction 1/2. Then out of a square, we have 1 part, so that's 1 out of 4, or 1/4, 1/7, and 1/16. Look at that. Fractions, again, are part of a whole unit. The top number, the part, is called the numerator. And then we have the fraction bar, and then the bottom number is called the denominator. That is the whole. So the part is on top, and then it has to be the whole. How many parts there are to make up the whole. So how much pizza is left in the pan? Well, we have 1, 2, 3 slices, 3 out of a total of 4 slices. So 3/4 of the pizza is left. So again, here we have our whole, and if we divide it, again, fractions need to be divided equally. Each part has to be equal. Half of the circle is shaded, 1/4 of the circle is shaded, and then 3/4. So the top of the fraction, the numerator, is the part. The bottom of the fraction, the denominator, is the whole. And boys and girls, when you come back through and complete the Nearpod, you'll have a very fun number rock fraction song to listen to. So let's talk about some fractions, some shapes and fractions that I drew on my whiteboard. Let's move it a little bit. There we go. All right, so the first shape, this is a whole. And when we make a fraction, we have to draw and we divide it equally. So we can go and divide it equally. Now I divided this fraction into halves, thirds, or fourths. What did I divide it into? Yes, that's correct. I divided it into halves. Let's come down here to the circle. Is that a little bit better to see? There we go. So let's divide this circle into fourths. And when we start with a circle, we always start in the center, but with fourths, we can go straight through the center and straight through, because we want to make sure that when we have fractions that each parts are equal. And the triangle has been divided into, yes, halves. And how about the rectangle? Has it been divided into thirds, halves, or fourths? That's right, it has been divided into thirds. So now we have another circle. And if we want to divide it into thirds, again, we have to start in the center, go straight down, and then off to the side, we draw the lines because we want each part to be equal. So the circle has been divided into, that is correct, thirds. So if I come through and I shade parts of these shapes, what part has been shaded? So let's write the fractions together. Let's start with the square. How many parts have been shaded? That's right, 1 out of how many total parts out of the whole? Yes, 2. So our fraction is 1/2. We're used to saying half. We're used to saying 1/2. But this is what it means, 1 out of 2 parts. How about the circle? How many have been shaded? Yes, 2 out of 4. That's correct, 2/4. Let's move on to the rectangle. How many parts have been shaded, boys and girls? That's right, 1 out of how many? 3. So our fraction is 1/3. And the triangle, how do you write that? Yes, I heard 1/2 and 1 out of 2. And the circle down here, how many parts have been shaded? We have 2 out of, yes, 3. Very good. And that is 2/3. 1/3, 2/4. So when we talked about halves, thirds, and fourths to be divided in, we use that in our fractions. Now let me get my other dry erase board. We are still talking about fractions, but now we're going to talk about fractions of a set. So boys and girls, let's look at the stars. How many stars are blue? How many are blue? Because we're going to write the fraction of how many of the stars are blue. So how many of the stars are blue? That's right, 2 out of the total number of stars. Very good, that's 2/5. How many fish are blue now? How many of my fish are blue? Oh, 4 out of the total number of fish. Yep, it's an array. We got 3 rows with 3 in each row. And yep, 9. 3 times 3 equals 9. How many dots are pink? How many dots are pink? That is correct. 3 out of, yes, 8. 3/8 of the dots are pink. Now let's look at the balloons down here. I'm going to draw a line. So I want to focus on these balloons and streamers. That's what these are. How many, let me say that again. What is the fraction of the solid blue balloons? How many balloons are solid out of all the balloons? That's right, 1. Now, since my question is how many solid balloons out of all of the balloons, we only count the balloons. And how many balloons are there? That's right, 4. That would be 1/4. And you're going to have a worksheet that talks about sets, and they're going to ask you specific questions. Maybe it has to do with balloons, maybe it has to do with crayons, specific color of crayons, broken crayons. So you're going to have to read it carefully and then just count that fraction. You can't rush through it. Now let's come over to these are pumpkins. How many of my pumpkins are brown? Yes, 4 are brown out of how many altogether? 5, that's right. So let's say the fractions we have. Yes, 4/5, 2/5, 4/9, 3/8, and 1/4. Very good, boys and girls. Now let's go back to the Nearpod. Here we go. Yes, and we have the Number Rock song. And the reason I switched to whiteboards is I wanted to talk about fractions before you went on to, yes, the next question. So the same thing here, you are going to write the fraction beside the picture. Now it does not have any lines. Let me bring up the worksheet. It's at the top here. There we go. Here, it does not have any lines. Remember, the part goes on the top, the numerator, and the total number of parts, the whole, goes at the bottom. So here is the worksheet. So if boys and girls are unable to access Nearpod, you will need to go right here and pause the video. So here are 9 of the problems, and here's the last row. Next, here is the paper I was talking about. This is fractions of a set. And then we have more about circles, and then you have houses, chimneys, and windows. And down here we have the crayons. Yes, here are the crayons. What fraction of the crayons are broken? And then there's color words on the crayons, so you're going to have to look carefully at that. Again, if you can't access Nearpod, go right ahead and pause the video right here. And that is the same questions as on this Nearpod slide. And we have another game, halves, thirds, and quarters. How many parts is a whole divided into when it's quarters? Yes, that's right, fourths. And we did money last week. 4 quarters are in a dollar. And we say 1/4, we can say 1/4. Here is another game that you can play. And then how are you feeling about reviewing fractions? Let us know. You boys and girls are working very hard. So keep up the great work. Don't forget, get your math done so you can go outside and play. It's very important that you exercise. And this is the standard we have been working on. So have a good day, boys and girls. Bye-bye.